All right. Good morning, team. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm founder and CEO of Gar Capital. Glad to be back. Sorry for being out the last couple of days, sick as a dog. I mean, that fever really kicked my ass, to be honest with you. So I stayed in bed and just tried to sleep it off. But better now, obviously. So glad to be back. Uh, just felt weird to be out of the office and out of the markets and everything. But shout out to the great team at Gar Capital. It's not called Carlos Inc. for a reason. This is Gar Capital. And we have an exceptional team. So I want to give a big shout out to them. Shout out to the clients for being patient with me while I was out. I know uh, podcasts and videos were missed, but I think that our members and our viewers deserve 100% of me, not me at half speed where my brain is boiling because I had a fever. So back, glad to be back and ready to rock. So I feel like, what the hell did I miss since I was out since pretty much Monday? The last podcast I did, I believe, was on Sunday. I didn't do the weekly video. That's when I started really just being sicker. So that was pretty much the last podcast I did. I didn't do a morning note all this week. So glad to be back. It is Friday, September 13th. Happy Friday the 13th. Let's go ahead and get started, right? Dow futures are up 86 points. The NASDAQ is green. S&P is up 0.20, and small caps are up nearly 1% this morning. 10-year Treasury yields 3.661. Hello. That's great news. It's good to see that interest rates are down. I saw that this morning that mortgage rates, 30 years, around 6.2%, getting closer to that five handle. That's when I think we'll start getting some more refinancing. That's going to help financials. I know I read a little bit that financials took a hit as well, but our team caught JPM calls. Man, they crushed it. Maybe I should be out more often, right? I'm joking. Dollar index 100.95. The road to 100 continues. 0.40%. We need that dollar to keep going down. The VIX now at 1689. What happened to 22? Do you guys remember on Sunday when I said something interesting that we had the NASDAQ down 500 points, yet the VIX was at 22? Remember we talked about that on Sunday on the pod? We know now. So we were setting up for that move. We talked about the 20 week. I didn't get to go into technicals because I got sick. I'm sorry again. But a great bounce play. And I think our team caught it very well. A lot of comebacks. Nvidia came back. We'll go over that this weekend when we do the recap, because I actually want to recap the week myself. Crude oil up 1.41% this morning, 69.94. So still below 70. Gasoline, $1.95 a gallon. Right on time for election season. That's not a coincidence in my opinion. But that's a good news. We want lower gas prices. And that's really mostly on China, by the way. China demand is softening. It's not we don't have demand in the United States. It's just that the United States makes the most crude oil in the world. We're the number one refiner. A lot of people get it confused that, Russia or Saudi Arabia or these Middle Eastern countries. The United States makes the most oil in the world, except we consume the most. So hence why we have gas prices where they are, and of course, good old state taxes. Gold futures up 0.84%, 2602. Read yesterday that we hit an all-time high there on the spot. Said the same thing, lower rates, lower dollar, that helps gold. So those commodities are going to have a little more room to run. We haven't even cut rates yet. That is obviously set up for next week. Now the question is, do we get 50? Do we get 25? We'll preview that this weekend as well. Silver futures up 1.5%. Copper up 0.18% this morning. On Forex land, 140.66. Wow, what a drop on the dollar yen. That's down 113 pips. Bitcoin is down this morning, but nice bounce. Down 1%, 58,030, 23.58 on Ethereum. That's down this morning, even with the dollar being down. So I remember I was talking about Bitcoin having a little more downside to 50K. We have not hit that yet based on the charts I was looking at. So we'll go over that right now. Let's take a look at Bitcoin futures. Yeah, nice bounce, but we're still within a downtrend. So nothing to be too excited about. I still expect 49,000 to 50,000 as our downside target, as we're still below the 200-day. So yes, nice relief bounce from 53 to 58. But in my opinion, I think Bitcoin still has more to go. And the only way I see that will be changing is if we break out above 66,000 or so, 66,600. So that's something that I'm watching. If you guys remember, I was talking about how I didn't find any put option volume out there. I was talking about Coinbase. I was talking about BITO, Mara. Like there was just no put volume. Same thing with Google. I guess we know why. Look what happened when I wanted to short Goog. It bounced. I mean, perfectly. Yeah, Monday was pretty ugly, but you could see what a bounce. So, yeah, I feel like I'm waking up from a time machine because I was so disconnected, just staying in bed, recovering. Better now, and I usually don't get sick, guys. So it's not like something that happens to me a lot. Just glad that that's out of my system now. All right, let's answer some questions. Good morning. Thoughts on Tesla buy zone? Yeah, let's take a look at it. All right, so Tesla. Yeah, we still got that gap fill here at 245 in terms of buying the stock itself. You have a zone right here, right around 211. As long as you stay above there, you're going to be fine. And you're going to take a look at that gap fill at 245. That's pretty much your main target, at least short term. But if you're looking for a long term target and you want to buy this stock, it's right here at 289, 289.78, 290 or so. Short-term resistance above the gap fill is around 264. So again, if you're looking to buy Tesla here, it's right around 229 to around 210. So you got about $10 or $15 in terms of range to play with here. But you do also have the golden cross, which is good. The only concern I have is that next week with the rate cut, I don't think we're going to get 50. I think we're going to get 25. And I think it's going to be a sell the news event. So we may get a little weakness into Tesla. Again, that's a consumer discretionary. That's going to be more sensitive to interest rates since obviously they're an auto manufacturer. So lower rates sells more cars. Let's be real. So I think you'll get a crack at possibly getting back down around the 210 area right now. Looks good. But again, if we break 235, then you have that gap fill at 245. That would be the next level higher. I still believe that we still have more weakness. I know it's a nice pop. Don't get me wrong. And I'm very happy, but I don't think the worst is over, in my opinion. Nice bounce back, sure, but we're getting into the worst 2 weeks seasonally. October's not great seasonally, so this just looks like relief rally, and that's great. But I think there's still some hesitancy out there in the market, even with this pop, due to the upcoming election and what that could mean for taxes, regulation, et cetera, et cetera. Let's take a look at Nvidia. Man, that was some calls that bounced back. That was great. And we're now at the 20-day. We are pretty much hovering at it. And I don't think we have another gap here, but the next target really is 130. And the question remains, can it close above the 20-day? That's kind of our momentum indicator. You are above the 20-week moving average. So really, if you look at Nvidia here, it's pretty set up. You can see that trend line still higher, but you still got to get above right around 127 or so. So there's a little more left on Nvidia to continue. This gap has already been filled. So got to watch out for these kind of two big candles here. This could be possibly a sell event where people are just taking profits after that big move higher on Nvidia. So we'll keep an eye on it for sure. If we can get above the recent highs of around 120.89, we can possibly target the 125 area. Let's see, SMCI calls. Bouncing right around that, pretty much that no man's land level of support, but still a downtrend. But we have a gap to fill here at 510. So that's good news. If we can get above right around 489 or so, then we can get to 507, 510.93. Keep an eye on possible calls here for this zone. I'm going to see if there's any big volume spikes. It might be a little expensive in terms of premium, but your level of support has to be 385 here, at least on the short term on SMCI. But it looks like it's setting up for at least this first gap fill at 510. Hail, hell, TGT. Let's take a look at Target or Target above this trend line. Good. Anything spectacular out there? We do have a gap fill here below. You're above the 50. It just seems that all these stocks are just holding on to major moving averages. And really, that's it at this moment, even with futures. So pre-market, we're at 150, right around this zone here. The good news is that as we go higher, I think right around we get to around 158 or so, we should be able to golden cross on target. And then we could start taking a look at 181.99. That's pretty much the money target. That's your 1, 2, triple top. Break that, the worst is over in target, and then you can definitely go long on that name because you got a lot to go to get to 268. It's been a minute. It's been a minute for them. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500 this morning. All right, so I got a couple alerts open. 5618 is what I'm looking for. If we break above there, 5650 for a little more upside. That'll kind of be your mid range. 5671 confirms a breakout on the 1 hour. So keep an eye on ES because if we break that level, we got 5730 and we're stone's throw away from all time highs. If you look at the moving averages on the daily, we're above the 20, we're above the 50. All good things. On the weekly, the hockey save right at the 20 week. So from now on, we're using that as our support, right around 54, 58, I guess, 54.60. So at least on the S&P, we do have a runway. Lower rates, lower dollar, lower VIX. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ is right on the 50-day. I need that to break. So 19,503. If we can break above that, we have 19,700. Boy, just a couple weeks ago we were there. So pretty much a round trip so far. And your money target, really for us or for everyone to say, hey, maybe the worst is over, you need to get above 20K. That's going to be the level. And we still got some room to get there. Let's take a look at another question here. Big Dog asks about Meta. Meta, I have an alert at 543. If we can break out of that, then yes, we have a little more upside. I got burned playing Meta last time I traded it. So 550 has been kind of that money target, but we need to get above 543 first. And then let's take a look at the Russell. The Russell is right below major moving averages, 2161. Pretty much still within this upside wedge pattern. I mean, you broke below it a couple times, but for the most part, it's still holding up pretty nicely. So 2250 would be the upside target, but I would say 2200 needs to break first. Break 2161.60. I like 2200 as the next target. That's around 40 Russell points. That might be sold off next week with the Fed as well. So we want to be extremely careful. I would prefer a close above, what was that level I had on the daily? I would prefer a close today above 2161.60. Then that would make me a little more confident going into this big news week next week. Maybe we get 50. Maybe Santa gives us something on the Christmas tree, right? So that's what it's going to be all about. It's all about that 50-point rate cut. Let's see if we get it. Labor market is okay. We had inflationary readings. They were fine. Nothing really scary about it. So it's just been volatile. And again, that's September and October are that way. So just be prepared for anything and any kind of change because, when you have a trade open and it's like pretty much red and you're thinking it's over, Nvidia comes in with some conference and then we soar. So that's the kind of market we're in right now, pretty jittery. So we'll see if we get a little more clarity as we get into that Fed, as we go into this election cycle. Fingers crossed that it's all done quickly. That's all we want to do. We want something that we can predict and something we can make money off of. That's pretty much it. So we'll see what we get. All right, team. Glad to be back. I will catch you all on the server. If you guys are interested in joining, it's crawling at the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much for your time. I will catch you guys for today's podcast and also this weekend's recap video. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.